Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. All right, back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. In these strange times, we've got people that are doing some pretty cool shit to try and help everybody out and inspire, and I've got one of those people on the other end of the line. So tell me, who the fuck are you and what do you do?
Hey there, Dean. Nice to be here with you. My name is Rachel Belmont, and I am an accelerated nursing student at Rutgers University, New Brunswick, in New Jersey, here in the USA. And I'm also a skydiver and an ultramarathon runner. And I am about to take on a huge project to give back to both my fellow healthcare workers and my skydive community.
Okay, well, shit, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
What an interesting time to be a nursing student. Are you starting to wonder if maybe that's, if you could have picked an easier field?
Oh man. Yeah, no, it's been difficult for all of us. I mean, we watched actually one of our professors get sick, which was definitely difficult. I remember being on a conference call with her like 2 weeks ago, going over exam results, and she was telling me, having COVID, like she described it as waves of death, and told me that like every time she woke up, she would just wake up with like tears in her eyes just because she was so happy to be alive, because she watched so many of her patients just never wake up. And it's crazy to just hear that firsthand.
Yeah, for sure.
From someone. And then just another one of my classmates I was talking to last night has COVID as well. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying just to watch people you love, people, go through this. And, as a class of nurses, soon to be nurses as well, we're all definitely struggling, not being able to do clinicals in person and having to do everything online. Just
sure,
finding ways to adapt to everything.
Well, not to mention,
that's the key here.
I'd imagine it's got to feel a little bit like just enlisting in the Army 2 weeks before World War II broke out.
It is.
It's all of a sudden you went from thinking, okay, this is going to be this and this and this, and you have these preconceived notions of your career ahead, and then somebody blows something up and you're on a boat going to fight, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, especially because you have firsthand knowledge dealing with people directly that have had it. Most of us, or I'd say a fair amount of us, have yet to meet anybody that suffered big time through it. I know a couple of people that have had minor cases, but no one that it's hit really hard. So it's kind of scary.
It's terrifying, Dean. I mean, there are people in my town who have died from this, other friends I've spoken to, who are currently going through it, who went through it. And you think like, can I be next?
Sure. And being in Jersey, you're once again close to ground zero.
Oh my God. Yeah. New York has been hit so hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrifying.
It's ridiculous. And you see it getting worse and worse every day online. And obviously it's starting to get better in other places, which gives hope. But it's definitely bizarre times. Well, and it's got to affect you in multiple ways, because you're not only having to deal with, doing all the nursing stuff locked indoors, but you're an ultra marathoner. Well,
I am.
That makes it a little bit difficult to, how do you go for a long run in your living room?
Well, actually, so I have been running outdoors, but I do so mostly at night or very early in the morning when there's not a lot of people out. So, cool. Yes, that includes, literally going for a long run at like 9:30 at night. Like, for example, last week I went for a 16-mile run, finished a little after midnight. And, my reasoning for that is just I don't want to be around a lot of people, whether that's, getting infected or infecting someone else. I don't want to put myself or anyone else at risk.
Sure.
And if I do, run during the day, I will run with a mask.
That's got to be pretty challenging itself there. I mean, because so much of what you do relies on proper breathing.
Well, so this morning, for example, I went for a 20-mile run, started pretty early, like a little bit before 7 a.m., when there wasn't that many people out. And I was actually running with one of the liquid sky masks. They're excellent.
Okay.
And I don't keep it on myself the entire time because it is difficult to breathe, as you said. But whenever I see that I'm about to come in close contact with people, I'll put it on, in advance.
Sure.
And then, when I'm like running on my own, on like a trail or something, I'll bring it back down.
Sure. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, you're out in public now, and I instantly get uncomfortable as soon as somebody, even with a mask on, starts to get a little too close. And if clearly they're not paying attention, everybody's face down in their phone, and they're about to walk into me, I get pissed.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying. Like, just running past someone, even being far away from them, like right away, my first instinct is to put on my mask.
Sure.
And it's like, it's crazy how months ago, like that wasn't the case. And now, the pandemic, like, everyone's just kind of like, scarred.
Oh, yeah.
Scared to even,
I don't see things going back to how they were before. There will be definite changes from now on. I mean, there's no way that there's not, because this has been something that people have talked about for a long time, but it was always just, academic for the most part, because the last big one was in 1918, and this time it's happened again, and we're living through it, and if it's outside the movies, I don't think anybody really expected it. So, at least not people like me. Maybe the medical and Bill Gates, of course, he thought about it. So, on to much happier things. Let's talk about beating the shit out of yourself running. That sounds horrible to me, but obviously you love it.
I do, Dean. And, I have a really big backstory about how I got started in this. So back in high school, I was a competitive distance runner. I ran a 4:59 mile, 18:37 5K. I was getting recruited by top colleges throughout the nation. I had coaches from UPenn, Yale, Columbia, Princeton, Clemson, everywhere, just, coming to my races, watching me, recruiting me, remember, the University of Miami coach, sitting in my living room. Like, it was an exciting time.
For sure.
But I finally decided on the University of Florida because they had the number one track and cross country team in the nation. And I really wanted to be a part of that. But unfortunately, my senior year, I experienced a freak accident that changed my life forever. Shortly after signing to run for this team, I was in my gym class playing basketball of all things.
Right.
I'm not even good at basketball. Like, I was just like playing for fun, and I went for a layup and felt a pop in my knee. And it turns out that I tore my ACL and my meniscus, both.
Playing basketball
in my gym class shortly after signing to run, for one of the top track teams in the nation. I was heartbroken. I was 17 years old. I mean, I went into like a deep depression because I couldn't run, for like 6 months. And, that was really difficult for me, but, I had a lot of support. I pushed through. 6 months later, I started running again. And at that time it was, so I had this surgery, my senior year of high school. So spring of 2014. So 6 months after that, I was just starting my first fall semester as a freshman at the University of Florida. Just started running again. Dean, 2 weeks back into running after taking off for 6 months, felt pain in my knee again, got an MRI. Turns out that I was diagnosed with the Cyclops lesion, which is super rare. It happens to, post-op ACL patients. It's like built up scar tissue, and I had to get another knee surgery. I mean, it was a less invasive one, but still, I had to get another surgery that same year. All that hard work that I had put in for 6 months, I felt like went to waste because now I had to take off of running again for like another couple of months. Sure. And Dean, that just threw me into like one of the worst periods in my life. I ended up having to medically withdraw mid-semester. I was so depressed. I gained like 20 pounds. Sure. I felt isolated, and I just thought I would never be able to run again. I almost gave up running for good at that moment. I mean,
Well, and I think
And
that's a pretty common reaction too. And let me ask you, while we're
yeah,
talking about it, this happening so young, I've seen many stories of similar situations where it's a younger person, in their early teens and up, that have trained so hard for so long that by the time they hit that 17, 18, 19 mark, they've beaten the shit out of their bodies, and a lot of them get prone to injury. I mean, that's not an
yeah.
uncommon thing. Which is crazy too. But so, what was your initial drive to start running? Why did you want to do the distance stuff? And how old were you when you started?
When I initially started, actually, I tracked that back to like honestly around seventh, eighth grade. When I was at St. Ambrose, I ran track, and like obviously I didn't. It wasn't like anything long. It was like a mile
Sure,
max, but.
sure.
I remember like winning a couple races, and I wasn't like that fast back then. Like I ran like maybe like a 6:30 mile in like seventh grade.
I love
And
that
it
you
just
say
gave me a
that
lot of
like it's.
confidence.
I love that you say that like it's slow, and my fastest
No.
is just barely under 6 minutes.
um,
Fuck.
but like no, it was just like for fun. Like I didn't take it seriously. Like I remember literally eating like Burger King like after practice. Like
Right.
I wasn't competitive at it.
Right.
I didn't actually get competitive until maybe like I would say sophomore year of high school. That was like my breakout year.
All right.
That's like, when I decided like, okay, like, you can actually be competitive at this. You can
Well,
try to get a college scholarship. And
It sounds to me like you're quite good-hearted about your competition level as well. In fact, you bring up a quick memory of I had done a triathlon a bunch of years ago, and on the running section, I'm slow as fuck running, and I'm about halfway through the run, and this very petite, very young girl goes flying by me, and as she flies by me, in the most cheerful voice, she says, "Keep it up, good job," and just blows by me, which was encouraging and a huge gut punch. Are you the type that would do that? You're running past an old man, good job. You would,
yeah,
wouldn't you?
I don't know. I say good job to like everybody. Like I
Nice.
just, but I don't mean it in like any way.
Nice.
But yeah, I just, what? Like I give props to anyone who's, running or exercising, especially during this time.
Sure.
I just, it's your own journey.
Yeah. Oh,
At the
for
end
sure.
of the day, like it's not a competition, like everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, although unless you sign on the dotted line and put yourself up at the starting gates, and then it's definitely a competition. But again, you're right. You're always running your own race. But all right, so back to you.
Sure.
You have the multiple injuries, and you're out of school now because it's obviously gotten to be too much. And what comes next?
Oh man. Okay. So I took like a whole year off from school, Dean. I was just like, I really don't know where I want to go forward with running and everything. I kind of just need to like come home, chill for a year, figure out what I want to do going forward. I remember I worked at like Panera that year, right? And then I decided I was going to transfer to Monmouth University, which is an in-state school in New Jersey, the following fall in 2015. So so I took off that year for the time being before transferring the following fall.
Okay.
And as far as running goes, okay, so I came home mid fall semester, so like November of 2014, and then I didn't start running again, I would say, till like April of 2015. I just started running a couple miles a day again. I was like, okay, you have to get back into this.
Sure.
You can't stay down at rock bottom forever.
Sure.
And it was hard. Dean, like I literally, I didn't run at all the past year. I had 2 knee surgeries. I could probably count on my hand how many runs I went on that entire year. And, I started running again. I'm just like, you know what? You really need to get out of this funk. Like, you need to have an epic comeback or something again, like to get you going. And I had the craziest freaking idea in the world. It scared me at the time, but I'm so happy I went through with it. I decided that I was going to run the 2015 New York City Marathon.
Okay.
After literally not running for a year, and sign up to run with a charity called Team for Kids.
Nice.
So to run with this charity, you have to commit to fundraise $2,620.
Okay.
By the start of the marathon. So that was a huge commitment for me. Like I just committed to one, run a marathon after, you know, having 2 knee surgeries, not running for a year, and 2, come up with $2,600. And
Right.
at the time, I didn't have any connections or anything. I just had an awful year. Like, you know, I've never run a marathon before. Like, and I was kind of, you know, I was in a tough spot because I didn't know anyone who would really donate to me. And I felt really awkward about it too. Like, I don't like asking people for money
Right.
and, you know, stuff like that. Like, I just feel weird about it. And I actually ended up, this is pretty crazy. I gave most of my paycheck that I made at Panera that summer to Team for Kids, just so I could run this marathon.
Wow.
Because it's so difficult to get into the New York City Marathon, Dean. Either you have to get in through a lottery, which is extremely difficult because there's like 50,000 people who run this thing every year.
Right.
Or you get in through a charity. And getting in through a charity is really one of the most popular ways to go. But, you know, you have to commit to fundraising a certain amount.
Right.
Right. Or, there's another way you could qualify if you run 9 New York Roadrunner races and then volunteer at one. But that takes like a year to do.
Sure.
And I wanted to run this race this year. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to come up with $2,600, whether it's my own money or other people donate. It's going to go towards a great cause.
Sure.
And the cause is to help kids throughout the nation have community-based running programs. So the money will go towards their running programs, their uniforms, their shoes. It's such a wonderful cause. I mean, you're giving kids the gift of running, of,
Sure.
you know, exercise, teamwork. Like, I mean, who wouldn't normally be able to have access to those things? And it just helps them grow into even better people. And so it's just such a wonderful charity. And being a part of that charity is amazing too, because you have access to coaches, weekly training plans.
Nice.
We met up every Saturday in Central Park and went for runs throughout the city. And let me tell you, Team for Kids is my family.
Nice.
Like, I actually returned as a mentor as well the past couple of years to help out first time, people training for their first New York City marathon. Like, I would just give them advice and everything over email or phone call every week. So I've definitely given back.
Nice.
To them as well throughout the years. But yeah, back to the marathon. I ended up successfully finishing, crossing the finish line in Central Park. 2015, Dean. It was the most it was the most incredible feeling in the world to just overcome everything I have in the past year, to go from just being so depressed and down and in that dark place I never thought I'd get out of.
Sure.
And, you know, going through those 2 knee surgeries to freaking, you know, finishing my first marathon at 19 years old.
Right.
And doing so for a wonderful cause. And after that, it kind of had a snowball effect. And I haven't stopped.
Yeah, that feeling is addictive for sure. I mean, I have a much smaller version of that, just in the, you know, completing a bunch of triathlons and stuff without any adversity other than the race itself. So I went into them, you know, relatively healthy and having not had to overcome anything, and crossing that finish line was still an amazing thing. So I can imagine, especially when you're, you know, back to doing the thing that you thought you'd be doing at a competitive level, not even sure you could do that again, and then to be able to do that and go bang out 26.2 miles in New York is pretty awesome.
It is. It's the biggest party in the world. It's my favorite marathon. I mean, just the crowds, people cheering for your name who don't even know you.
Sure.
You know, like I've run that race 4 times.
See, and in my world, there's
it.
no way that those two words go together. Favorite and marathon just don't fucking match in my mind. It doesn't. The running portion of every triathlon, I was just dreading every one, because I was fast in the water. I was, you know, average on the bike, but I was slow on the run. So all the people that I passed in the water or kept up with on the bike just whizzed past me on the run. So the idea of my going and running a marathon is just hideous. Now, so you go from doing marathons, but now you're an ultra marathoner. Tell me. I know what it is, but tell people exactly what an ultra marathon is and why the fuck anyone would do this to themselves.
Oh man, this is a broad topic, but
yeah.
So an ultra marathon is anything over 26.2 miles. It can include a 50K, which is 32 miles, 60K, 50 milers, 100K, and my personal favorite, the 100 miler.
100
You know what?
miles.
Ultramarathon? Yes.
I don't even like driving 100 miles.
Oh man. You know, it's just so different, Dean.
Yeah.
You know, marathons are, you know, great, but running 100 miles, it's so different. Like, it's all mental, you know, and it's not so much about time. It's more about grit and really finding yourself and just dropping your ego entirely and, you know, reaching that moment of zen where you just, like, you're in so much pain. You think you can't go any further, but your mind just carries you through. Like,
Sure.
I've had some of my most revealing moments, you know, like mile 80, 85 into a 100-mile race. Like,
Most
it's
people would
crazy.
call
Like,
them near-death experiences.
I definitely agree with that, to some degree. No, I do. Like, for example, about a year ago, I ran the Keys 100-miler. It's a 100-mile race from Key Largo to Key West.
Okay.
In mid-May, super hot.
Yeah.
The heat index when I ran this thing, Dean, was 107.
Oh,
It was
Jesus.
crazy. Literally crazy. I got trench foot during it. Literally trench foot. I had some of the worst sunburn, chafe marks. It was.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember being so nauseous. I could barely eat during that entire race. Like, Dean, if I'm being honest with you, I probably had like 2,000 to 3,000 calories that whole race. And you're talking 100 miles. I mean,
You burned 20,000.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah.
No,
I
that's
just
just well the abuse that you put yourself through in something like that. I saw a while back. I saw snippets of a documentary. Same thing. A guy that was an ultramarathoner that actually went through surgery to have all his toenails removed because he was tired of them turning black and falling off.
That happens.
Yeah.
I've definitely had quite a few toenails fall off.
Oh yeah, no, I've lost toenails just on long treks. I just trekked Everest not that long ago, and I lost 5 toenails to it. So running 100 miles, I mean, holy shit! How do you even mentally get yourself ready for that? Let alone how do you physically train to run 100 miles?
Yeah, training for 100 miles. A lot of it, Dean, is just a large amount of volume per week and consistency. You know, anyone can do this, but it's really about consistency. So progressively building up your mileage over the course of a few months.
Sure.
You know, so like building from 50 to eventually, like, I usually peak at like 100 miles a week because my mantra is if you could run 100 miles in a week and that feels easy, like generally easy, you can run 100 miles in a day. Okay. So I remember training for the Keys. I did back-to-back 100-mile weeks. That was my peak. And that felt good. I was able, you know, to do that and then taper. So I usually taper like 2 to 3 weeks before a race. So that's when I start progressively decreasing my mileage. And I would say double long runs. That's extremely important. So, you know, when I was running my highest mileage weeks, I'd run, you know, for example, like, I don't know, 25 to 30 miles one day and then like 17 miles the next day. But I would go slower on those runs because it was more about building my base, building my endurance, and not necessarily focusing so much on speed. Kind of like what I'm doing this weekend. Like last night I went for an 11-mile run, you know, didn't do anything crazy. This morning I went for a 20-mile run. And, you know, I felt like I could have gone a lot faster, like averaging, you know, sub-8 pace, but no, like I held myself back. I'm like, you know, you still have to run again tomorrow, when I plan on doing like 16 miles worth of doubles, you know, so I hold back a bit, especially when I'm going into higher mileage per week. Just being, being in tune with your body and, you know, getting used to, you know, a higher set of mileage before you.
Now, when you start to get into those high miles, I mean, for me, high miles is nothing compared to what it is for you, but I find I have to battle 2 things when I'm doing any run that's of any distance at all. One of them is the pain or discomfort that you end up with, and 2 is boredom. Especially in those races, are you guys allowed music when you run?
Oh, absolutely. And
okay, you are. Okay.
Actually going to tell you, I'm a huge music listener.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I love my music. That's that's what motivates me. Especially on these longer runs. Like I mean, some people could do it without music. Me personally, I need it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there's times in a race where I'm just like, all right, I've listened to music for like the first 20 miles. I don't want to listen to anything for the next like 10. It's, I like to give myself breaks, but when I'm on a long run or any other run, like I do rely on my music. It just
Right.
gets me motivated, gets me going.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
I did a triathlon when I lived in St. Croix, and the
Oh, wow.
rules were you weren't allowed to have music, but I was nowhere near the competitive field, so my mentality was I'm running this race for myself anyway. So if they want to disqualify me for listening to
Yeah.
music, they can fucking disqualify me. And I had everything from earpods for swimming, and then the bike and the run for the whole damn thing. Because if I don't have music, I'm not gonna run. No way. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, some races do ban it. Of course, you have to be aware of your surroundings, and that's another thing too. Just making sure if you're going to listen to music during a race, just be aware of your surroundings.
Sure.
Check for other runners, be respectful.
Sure. Well, and I'm of the firm belief that music is absolutely performance enhancing, without a doubt.
Oh, it is, definitely. I've definitely found it is.
Yeah. Now, how about nutrition? What the fuck do you eat to go with the amount of running that you're doing? I mean, I'll put down 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 calories a day and stay active, but I'm not running 20 miles a day.
Yeah. So actually, I just started 2 months ago training under renowned fitness and strength coach Kevin Hedgenos. So Kevin and his co-coach Brandon, they're amazing. They've been virtually coaching me for the past 10 weeks because I'm undergoing a 12-week program through them. And, telling me how many macros to eat per day, what strength workouts to do, recommending certain foods to eat. So they've been on top of me. And actually, as a result, I've lost 16 pounds.
Wow.
And my running times have definitely improved, and I've been running a lot more efficiently, and I just feel the difference. And I find nutrition is so important, Dean. Like last year, for example, I didn't care about my nutrition. I just ate whatever I wanted.
Right.
And you know what? I mean, you can do that to an extent, but like if you really want to feel good, when you're running these longer miles and, run a lot more efficiently and recover faster, it's very important. So
yeah, I mean, I would think for the shorter stuff, calories are calories, but when you're talking about running 100 miles, calories and efficiency in those calories has got to be extremely important.
It really is. So I've been using my Fitness Pal to track everything, which has been super helpful. I pretty much eat flexibly because I look at macros more. So as long as it fits my plan, I'll eat it. Typical like dinner for me would be like chicken or shrimp and like, some kind of carb like brown rice or sweet potatoes, veggies. Breakfast, I love pancakes. That's my go-to post long run meal. Like this morning, that's literally what I made for myself. As far as like supplements and stuff go, I'm actually, I just received a sponsorship opportunity with Hammer Nutrition.
Nice.
So, I'm going to be working with them and a part of their family going forward, which I'm extremely excited for.
Well, shout out to Hammer Nutrition then.
Yeah, they have, oh my God, they have so many great stuff. I mean, between gels, bars, electrolyte tabs, protein powder. And I actually started using them too a couple of years ago. And yeah, they're great. I've experimented with a lot of different brands and stuff, but the great thing about Hammer is that they just have a wide range of resources. Like it's not just like gels and bars. Like they have supplements, they have, clothing, they have protein powders, like they have everything. Awesome. And on top of that, it's a family business too. And I really love that as well. That's important to me. And they really care about their athletes. I've, met a lot of, endurance athletes who are sponsored by them. And there's just like a large library of resources as well within the company, which is important. So,
So now, when you're going into these long races, the 100-milers and stuff, I know that one of the tips that I was given, right or wrong, before I would do a triathlon was to carb load a couple of days before, so you've got that extra kick. But I wouldn't think that because you're eating throughout that 100-miler, are you carb loading a bunch, or are you relying on maintaining that calorie intake during the race?
So, yeah, you know what? I mean, I'll carb load a bit, like leading up into the race for sure. But throughout the race, it's so important to fuel every hour, especially in the beginning, Dean, because, later on in the race, you might get some stomach discomfort. You might feel sick. You might not want to eat. So making sure that you're eating for that first half, pretty frequently. And when I say frequently, I mean, 150 to like 200 calories an hour at least,
right,
is very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have like my standard gels and bars and stuff in the beginning, but then I kind of get sick of that, and then I want like real food. My go-to is a bacon grilled cheese sandwich. Oh my god, that's like my ultra running food. Like I remember in the Keys, at mile, I think it was like 75. Yeah, I had like barely eaten the entire race, but like I started feeling really good again around that mark, and I remember at the aid station, it was like 3 a.m. and some lady was like making grilled cheese sandwiches. And I'm just like, please, like, I need a grilled cheese sandwich. And, it was like the best thing in the world.
Wow.
Then, my last race I did a 24-hour race back in November where I ran as many miles as I could around a 1 mile circle, which was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And they were making bacon grilled cheeses during that too. So you definitely know I was all up on that.
God. I don't know which would be worse, the running for 24 hours or trying to run with the bacon grilled cheese in my stomach.
Oh, believe I have tried to eat everything while running.
I bet.
While running, quesadillas, soup, mashed potatoes.
Wow.
Literally. That race was pretty insane. The 24-hour race. That was it was a 1 mile circle in Sussex County, New Jersey, and you just run as many miles as you can around it within 24 hours. And there's like an aid station with a kitchen set up like at the start and finish line.
Right.
And they're just making food for you all throughout the night. Like I remember the guy who was crewing me, Rich Riopel, awesome ultra runner, runs 162 miles in 24 hours, part of Team USA. So shout out to him.
Wow.
He's been super helpful with like, mentoring me, giving me advice. And he actually crewed me during that race. So he was like just making sure that I was eating all the time. Like I remember him literally handing me a cup of soup with mashed potatoes inside and just like telling me, like literally shoving it in my face and just saying, Rachel, you got to start, sipping this. It was like mile 80 or something. And I just remember walking with like a hot cup of soup, all delirious, walking in a circle. Yeah, it's something different.
Now,
dude.
how many miles did you do?
So I ended up doing 106. I could have done more because I hit the 100-mile mark in like 21 hours and 30 minutes. According to my watch, it was like 20 hours and 50 minutes, but I didn't run the tangents perfectly. So like you could run. Yeah. So like if you run like a little on the outside of the loop, that adds up.
Right.
So I ended up doing my Garmin recorded me doing like an extra like 3 miles or so, which was like really annoying and frustrating because it would say like, you're at 103 miles, but I'm just coming up on mile 100,
right.
So anyways, I, according to the official race time, I hit, 100 miles in like 21:31. Right. So I had like 2.5 hours left. But the top of my right foot was absolutely killing me. And I was really like getting petrified that I was going to like break it or something.
Sure.
So I told Rich, because Rich, was like, oh, you could totally do over 110. Like, let's go. I'm like, Rich, like the top of my right foot, does not feel so great right now. I think I'm going to have to just like walk this out. So I literally just walked the last 2.5 hours, got another 6 miles in.
Well, I'm pretty much after 100 miles, I'd say you can fucking walk and hold your head up high. I mean, come on. I've got good friends in skydiving that couldn't walk 10 miles in 24 hours. So, yeah, you cross the 100-mile mark, I think you can pretty much cruise the rest of the way. Yeah.
it was nice. I remember like the last couple miles, I was just kind of like limping and sipping some hot cocoa, like talking to other runners, also walking.
Nice
We were
cool
all
down.
delirious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
cool
I
down.
mean,
Well,
yeah. You meet some cool people.
oh, I bet. I bet. Now, I'm going to use that to segue into how did you decide the first time you were going to go jump out of an airplane?
Oh, man. So actually, the first time I jumped from a plane was back in 2015. Yeah, so 5 years ago. It was at Skydive the Ranch.
Okay, I know the ranch.
Yeah, like I just Skydive the Ranch. So like, I remember it was during that year off, from school and everything, and I was trying to kind of like find myself again, and before I started running again, like I started doing like some other stuff, like kind of finding my love for adrenaline. I met my friend Chase, who runs this company that runs like bungee jumping trips and hiking trips and stuff. So I kind of got into that. And then next for me was like wanting to jump from an airplane. That was something I've always wanted to do. And I really wanted to get in touch with like, my love for adrenaline.
Right.
That I've never really had an opportunity to express. And yeah, so I did my first jump at the ranch. And I remember when I landed, like right away, I was asking my instructor, like, how do I get licensed in this? This is awesome. Like, I don't want this to just be a bucket list thing.
Right.
I want to turn this into a hobby. Like, how cool would that be to literally jump from airplanes every weekend?
Pretty fucking cool.
But yeah, but it was always a matter of time and money. When I did my first jump, I was like 18, and it's obviously it's a commitment. Like, sure. So yeah, I didn't get licensed until 2018.
Okay.
I went to Skydive Spaceland Houston, did their A license in a week program. It's so awesome. I mean, you meet some of the best instructors in the world there.
Sure.
They really care about their students. And yeah, I got licensed. It was awesome. But since then, I really haven't jumped too much, just because I've been really busy with running, with school. Like, I still don't have my own rig yet. That's
Sure.
something I'm waiting to get, like, after I finish nursing school. I'm 23. I'm taking my time. Like, no rush.
Well, now you had actually told me off the podcast about a mix between skydiving and running that you're super stoked about, and you briefly told me about a race that involves a jump.
I do. So the Skydive Ultramarathon, it's the only race in the world that starts with a skydive.
Awesome.
It's at Skydive Spaceland Clewiston in Florida, and I have wanted to do this race like since before I even got licensed. So it's totally epic. You can run a race from anywhere from a 10K up to 100 miles. They used to have a 200-mile race that a friend of mine actually paced the female winner in, but they just got rid of it.
Wow.
Maybe they'll bring it back if I ask them. But maybe. But yeah, now the highest race you can do is 100 miles. So you jump out of a plane.
Do you have to do you have to jump on your own, or can you do a tandem to start the race?
Oh no, it's mostly tandem jumpers who actually do it.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know that many fucking skydivers would go run an ultramarathon.
Yeah, no, it's I know that it's for a fact that it's mostly tandem jumpers. You can, of course, jump as a licensed jumper too.
Sure.
So yeah, it's like a 6.25 mile loop or something like that around the drop zone, and depending on the race that you sign up for, it's however many loops accumulate to that distance. So. Right. My goal is to do the 100 miler there, but I want to save it for my 100th jump because, like,
well, yeah,
I had this crazy idea. Like, why not celebrate my 100th jump followed by running 100 miles around a drop zone? It's like totally crazy. I don't know if it's ever been done before, but
yeah, usually people run about 100 yards for their 100th jump, and it's just to get to the beer. Usually, so. I mean, I suppose there can be beer at the end of the 100 miles, but.
Oh, For sure. That's definitely something that you're going to crave.
Now, you're also doing something that is combining your running and skydiving too, which is one of the main reasons we wanted to talk. And that's you've got this project coming up specifically to try and help out everything that's going on. So I want you to tell me about that.
Sure. Absolutely. So I've really admired what Liquid Sky is doing for everyone throughout the community right now.
Yes.
How they switched from making skydiving suits to masks, and
Yes.
and donating them to hospitals who are struggling throughout the nation. Hospitals that have little to no PPE equipment, and I just find that remarkable that this company found a way to keep their employees, with jobs, and found a way to adapt
Sure.
and change their mission to help their community. And I really admire that so much. And I see their struggle. Like, I see that they're donating a lot more than, profiting. And
Sure.
I wanted to help out as a nursing student. Look, there's not much I can do right now. Obviously, I'm not nearly qualified to treat someone, but
Right.
there are ways that I can give back and be proactive during this time. And I might never have this opportunity again if I don't take it right now. So I remember like a week ago, I contacted Matt Jaskol, who co-runs Liquid Sky, and I told him my pitch and gave him a call. He was on his way back driving from Liquid Sky headquarters in California back
Yep.
to Vegas. And I told him my idea. I said, how about I run 100 miles in a day and fundraise money, and all the money that I raise, I will use to buy masks from Liquid Sky that I will distribute to hospitals that are struggling within the tri-state area alongside my nursing friends.
That's awesome.
And him and Julio loved it.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? And it's a great way to give back to not only, my healthcare community, but my skydive community as well. Because
Sure.
I see Liquid Sky putting out a lot of work
Oh,
into
yeah.
this project. And, this would benefit them as well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
reward them for their hard work, for helping our healthcare warriors. And it would help our running community too. It, I feel like would inspire, my fellow runner friends
Sure.
to train,
Well, and to do
training,
something-
but do so safely, of
And
course.
potentially to do something similar as well. Well, and I was lucky enough recently to have Julio on the podcast and talk about it. And he's such an energetic and entertaining character anyway. So you listen to Julio talk just a little bit. And in the course of the podcast, of course, we talk about skydiving and building suits and talked quite a bit about the masks. But somewhere along the lines, we ended up talking about being shoulder deep up a cow's ass, giving pregnancy tests and inseminating cattle. How, I don't know, but it was the most entertaining podcast I'd had in ages because he had me fucking laughing my ass off. But the biggest thing that I took away from that podcast was I got to, like a lot of the skydivers that I know, take pride in what he's doing, if for no other reason that because he's a member of the skydiving community, and so am I. So it's super cool to have a skydiver doing something like that, giving back. And it's the same thing with you doing the 100-mile run in 24 hours to try and save, to make money, to dedicate these masks to helping out. It's a big fucking deal. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you know what? And how I see it is like, I feel that it's my duty to give back. I'm going into nursing, which is a profession that's dedicated to helping people. And all my life, I've dedicated myself to helping others. It's what I enjoy doing. And again, I see an opportunity like this. I have this crazy idea. I don't know if it's going to work, but I have to take it.
Sure.
I have to.
Now,
I have to try.
what's the logistics
Yeah.
on the run, or do you have a route that you're doing? Is there,
Sure thing.
what specifically are you doing for the run? How are you going to track it? How are you going to show what you've done?
Absolutely. So originally, Dean, I was planning on doing this. Originally, I was planning on doing this outdoors because, I was inspired recently by my friend David Kilgore, who ran 100 miles across Florida to raise money to buy gift cards from struggling shoe stores who weren't making that much money, and
Sure.
donate shoes to healthcare workers in New York City hospitals so they have proper footwear.
Awesome.
It was an amazing project. It went viral, and I literally like messaged him after, telling him like, dude, what you just did is insanely incredible. Like, good for you. And that really inspired me. But then, so I was planning on, originally doing this run outdoors. I was going to use a GPS tracker to have people track me. But then I kind of took a step back after talking to a couple of people in Dubai, for example, who are confined to their homes. And I'm sure you could speak for this as well,
sure.
And had a lot more restrictions going on compared to us in the US, where we're still allowed to go out and walk and run, compared to people who literally, in Dubai, in other countries, for example, who can only go out for, essential,
sure.
items only. And I didn't think that was really, I didn't think it was fair. And I really wanted to honor people like that, or people who are sick and, confined to their homes by running indoors. So I changed my mind. I adapted, and I decided to run this on a treadmill instead.
Now that's a whole different beast, isn't it?
It is. It is a whole different beast. So wanting to honor, people who were confined to their homes and kind of stick with the whole stay at home mantra, especially as a nursing student. I decided that it would be best to go forward with this instead. I'm going to be running on a treadmill for 100 miles within a day. And as you know, treadmills are not that accurate. So I'm not going to be going, obviously, off the mileage on the treadmill. I do plan, after confiding in a really amazing runner friend of mine, I was considering using something called Stride. It's a foot pod, and you connect it to your watch. So It's highly accurate, and it records your mileage, your pace, everything. So I was going to order that and start experimenting with that before the race, making sure that it was accurate and
sure,
and gave me the results that I wanted, because accuracy is very important to me for this event, as you know. So
well, and I would imagine too,
that.
In the age of social media, I'd imagine it'll be good to be able to get a team to some degree behind you to get snippets of video and updates, live updates of what's going on would be a great idea as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'll have my family with me as well too. Recording, I'll have my laptop out, live streaming on Facebook.
Nice.
I plan on, streaming on Instagram Live as well. And then having another phone out for people to call me and text me to listen to music. And then in terms of like what mileage I'm on, someone suggested to me having like a mileage countdown. So like, people could like tune in and see, how many miles I'm doing. And I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not like too savvy when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I am going to advocate for Stride for the time being and play around with that. Make sure, it's as accurate as it's supposed to be. And
well, I mean, and you could even go as low tech as having somebody that's helping you, literally filming and texting out.
Yeah,
she's at this many miles. I mean,
that will probably what's going to happen.
And why wouldn't it be? I mean, to perfectly honest, that to me makes it a little bit more personal anyway. I mean, it makes it more of a team effort. Obviously, you're doing the running and everything, but I think it makes it more personal to have someone that's clearly there going, fucking hell, I'm still sitting here. I'm bitching because I'm still awake, but she's still running.
No, that's probably what's gonna happen. Like, have my mom or my brother do that for me. Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about running on a treadmill though? Because I know personally, running on a treadmill isn't as comfortable as running outdoors.
No, it's not. I've run on a treadmill for a long time before. I mean, it isn't very fun, but I feel like in a way it is. I mean, it's monotonous, but it's also easier than some of the other races I've done.
Sure.
Like, for example, the 24-hour race, I was running that in like 20-degree weather around the same circle, 106 times.
Right.
I'm running on a treadmill. It's kind of essentially the same thing if you think about it, but
Sure.
at least I'm not going to have to deal with adverse weather conditions.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's going to be more fun in my opinion too, because I'll be interacting with people the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
I plan on making this a really fun event. Like, I was actually going to, request for people to like, donate more money, and for me to like do like, maybe funny things like, I don't know,
Sure.
chug a Red Bull or two at like, mile 90, or run with like my skydive helmet or something,
Right.
like for an hour, just getting creative and like, increasing the engagement of this thing is what's important to me. Like, and I can't really do that if I'm like running outdoors.
Right. Well,
I can't interact with people.
normally running on a treadmill is in fact, I had a good friend that was an athlete just like that. He was a cycler instead of a runner though, and he said about treadmills, he's all, no one's ever kept running on a treadmill because they wanted to see what was around the next corner. So, we would go out for trail runs in the Marin Headlands, and you'd end up doing 5 miles more than you planned just because it was so damn pretty out. You wanted to see what was over the next hill or around the next corner. That never happens on a treadmill. But in this case, because you're going to have this interaction, I think that's probably going to give you a hell of a boost.
Oh, it's definitely going to help immensely. Like, it's not like I'm just running on a treadmill,
Right.
Staring at a wall the
Right.
entire time. Yeah. I feel like I'll have people with me there the entire time, even if it's not, in person, virtually.
Right.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm personally really excited for this. Whatchamacallit, I plan on like doing before the race as well, like a virtual run. So maybe like going for like a 10-mile run, on the treadmill, and inviting people to come, talk to me live and ask me questions
Sure.
about the race, about running, skydiving, just to kind of like generate excitement for the event. So I definitely have a couple things in mind. And yeah, like I just want to generate as much support and excitement as I can for the next couple of weeks leading up to this. Play around with Stride, obviously practice beforehand, make sure the accuracy of the mileage I'm doing is on point, because that's extremely important to this too.
Right.
Especially because I did register to run a virtual 100 miler going into this. So I was supposed to run the Habanero 100 miler this summer, and I decided not to transfer my race entry to the next year. Because I don't want to risk like it getting canceled or anything.
Sure.
So the race director is putting on a bunch of virtual races, and one of them is a 100 miler. So I signed up for that virtual 100 miler. So I will be submitting the results of this event to that event.
Oh, nice.
If that makes sense.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it does.
So accurate, making sure, that I'm running an accurate amount of mileage, and then I'm keeping track of that is very important. So
yeah,
I'll be
it's two birds, one stone
watch,
for you.
using Stride. Yeah, uploading my results to Strava, which I'll then send to the race director.
That's very cool.
So yeah, I'm really excited for this. And I actually get a belt buckle too for finishing this, because when you finish a 100 miler, like the tradition is you receive a belt buckle instead of a medal.
Okay.
So so when I submit my results of this event to the race director, as long as you finish 100 miles, I think it's like under 30 hours, they send you a belt buckle in the mail, which is like pretty cool. And the race entry itself is significantly cheaper than what you'd pay for an actual event, just because you're not dealing with the aid stations and paying for stuff like that. Yeah, you're just kind of like paying for
now,
the award.
Have you got everything set up for people to be able to donate, or is that something that's still in the works?
Well, I just finished making the GoFundMe, but everything is kind of still in the works right now. I've been in touch with a lot of different publications and people interested in, publishing the story and everything. So this week is really just all about creating content, putting some final touches on the GoFundMe page, and just kind of, setting things up. I plan on announcing this through a video in a couple of days. So that's exciting. And then once I make this announcement and that posts on my page and Liquid Sky's page, then I'll allow the rest of the press to release anything they want to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're generating a lot of support on this so far, Dean.
Awesome.
yeah, we're getting in touch with Runner's World magazine, Strong Running Chicks. I have a podcast interview with them in 2 days, which I'm very excited for.
Nice.
Cookie Helmets, Blue Skies magazine. Yeah, just to name a few. So I'm excited. I'm just going to continue to reach out to people, who see who I can get in contact with. I just want as many people to be positively impacted by this project as possible.
Sure.
And I really want to, combine, both the running and the skydiving communities together to, impact such an incredible cause, because I feel like that hasn't really been done before, I want to bring like the best of my both worlds together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and it's a great cause and a great idea as well. Now this podcast will be airing probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, maybe a week before the actual attempt. So I'll be able to link anything in the description for this podcast on how people can go and donate. But how do they find out just about you in general? Is there do you have an athletes page or a public page that people can check you out at?
Yeah. So I have an Instagram account, Rachel Belmont. My username is actually Skyrunner. It
Nice.
kind of like combining, my love for skydiving and running. So it's _Sky RNR _. Hoping that name sticks for a while. I think it's a fun twist on words, especially going into this event too. Yeah, because it is a skydiving/running event if you think about it.
Well, and especially with people like Cookie Helmets, and you got Blue Skies, you got Liquid Sky, and all that. So you've got so much of skydiving tied into it. So yeah, no, that's very good. Now, you were just saying a Facebook account as well.
Yeah, I have a Facebook account. I also have a blog, which is in my Instagram bio. It's a personal blog. I only have like one post up. I've been crazy busy with school lately, but I do plan on updating that, like especially after this event, with more stories and stuff on what I'm doing. And it also has a link to another podcast interview I did for Culture Trail Running, which is a podcast that interviewed me after my win at the 24-hour race. So if you want to hear about that and, how I ran the 106 miles while, shoving bacon grilled cheeses down my throat at mile 80, be my guest.
Well, that's pretty fantastic. I mean, Rachel, honestly, I look forward to seeing, not the attempt, but the success that I'm sure you're going to have in this, as well as finding out how you're going to eventually do for your 100th jump running the 100-miler as well. So I wish you a lot of luck on both of them. And I'm urging everybody that's listening to the podcast to check the description for the podcast and find out how you can donate, because this is going to be getting masks into the hands of people that need them, not just from some random manufacturer, but from Julio at Liquid Sky and the crew there. So when you're donating, you're not just donating to get this stuff done, but you're also helping out skydivers in a skydiving company. And you're, obviously ramping up an active skydiver that's trying to do this all on her own as well, which is just awesome. It really is super, super cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Anything I can do to give back to as many people as possible.
Well, and honestly, that's the kind of thing that we most certainly need right now and moving forward. And it's, again, one of the things that all of us as skydivers get to take pride in another skydiver's achievements, both in and out of the sport. So I definitely thank you for the effort, for sure. And I definitely thank you for your time on the podcast. I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
Well, thank you for having me, Dean. I sincerely appreciate it.
Awesome. Rachel, blue skies and great luck with the runs.
Thank you so much.
Take care. That was perfect. All right. Fucking awesome cause on this last podcast. Between Julio and her, they are busting their ass to try and make sure that they're helping out as much as they can in these weird-ass times. You will find a link on the description of this podcast where you can go and donate to the cause, get those masks out there, and watch Rachel beat the living shit out of herself on a treadmill. As always, this is Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. I am the fucking pilot. This is brought to you, of course, by Blue Skies Magazine. We all know it, right? the most amazing magazine in the known universe. Head to blueskiesmag.com, subscribe to the magazine, get the cool swag, send in your pictures, send in your article ideas. For me, I am The Fucking Pilot. Find me on Facebook at The Fucking Pilot and on Instagram, The Princess Pilot. Also, thefuckingpilot.net is where you're going to find the links to this podcast and all the other episodes, as well as both the books, the Blue Skies Mag's Fucking Pilot book and The Accidental Stripper, both available in print and digital form. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.